Ready to go, Joanna?
Lovely. Thank you very much. Oh, yes. Welcome, Naomi. Thank you for joining us today. I have introduced you to everyone, so everyone knows who you are and where you're from and what you do, but it would be great for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the business and sort of what it is that you're currently doing at the moment.
Sure. So my name is Naomi. I am the operations director of a digital marketing design and development agency called Just Digital. We're based in Wigan in the northwest, in Greater Manchester, and we're pretty much a full service industry that we feel are sitting in the middle of our market. So we don't specialise in very small projects, which is like a couple of £100 for a website, that sort of thing, kind of on the freelance end, nor do we specialise at the top end of our industry where you've got £20,000, £30,000, £4,000 branding projects or websites at that end. We kind of sit in the middle. We deal with a range of clients right through from very small sole traders and local businesses within Wigan and the surrounding areas. And we also deal with bigger clients who operate on a national basis, and that could be anything from kind of e-commerce stores, personal injury solicitors, motorsports, that sort of thing. So we've got a really kind of broad range of clients that we work with. We have various elements to our business. So we have our studio, which focuses on web, and that is web design and web development. And we have a technical team as well who deal with obviously the technical side of websites. That is the hosting, the domains, the emails, that sort of thing, and basically everything that it takes to get a site working, to fix it when it's broken, and to ensure that a site goes live well. So that's that team who deal with that. And then we've got the digital marketing team as well. So that's made up of predominantly we focus on SEO as a marketing discipline, but we also offer PPC, social media management, paid and organic, email marketing, and then we have content writers and things as well. So we've got a real mix of things. So if a business comes to us and they say, right, I want to start marketing, where do I start? We've got everything in-house under one roof in order to sort of roll that campaign out for that client. So we can design and develop them a new website that's fit for purpose, ready to go to market. And then once it is ready to go to market, we can then put that in place within our marketing department. So my role as operations director of the business is to focus on three main elements. That's people, processes, and performance. So the people element is to make sure that the staff we have in place are, first thing, most important, are happy, are skilled, have the relevant training they need, have any gaps in their knowledge, they have that ability to discuss and communicate that. They work well within the team and across departments as well. In terms of the processes, so it's my responsibility to ensure that anything that comes into our business is delivered correctly. That applies to the people too, but more so from my point of view, it's ensuring that if someone comes to us and says, I want a new website, it's ensuring that we can design exactly what they're looking for against the brief that we've generated with them, develop it using the best software that's relevant to their business. So that could be if we were developing an e-commerce store and they wanted to manage it themselves and it was on a smaller basis with a smaller amount of products, we might recommend, for example, Shopify over Magento. It's making those recommendations for processes. And then in terms of performance, making sure that everything's working as it should do. So in terms of the websites that we're setting live within that department, if we've got 12 weeks to complete the project, are we completing that within 12 weeks? If we are, what were the things that contributed to the smooth running of that operation? If they're not coming out on time, what stopped that from happening? What were the obstacles we faced? And then we need to find solutions to that to overcome it. And the same then applies to our digital marketing department. So for example, an SEO campaign that we've got running, are the rankings improving? Are the conversions improving? If they are, great. What's made that happen? Can we apply it to a different campaign? If the campaign isn't performing, why not? What do we need to do in order to fix that and move forward? So those are kind of the three main elements of my role. Does that help? There's a lot in it. 5 minutes there.
No, that's great. Thank you. And it'd be really interesting actually for the learners to know about your career history, because it is extensive and you've done a lot. So if you want to sort of tell us how you initially got into digital marketing, and then the sort of the process throughout, and then how you've ended up where you are, essentially, that would be really lovely to know.
Sure. So I went to university and did a degree in education. as I wanted to be a teacher. So I got my degree, but decided that wasn't a path then after that period of time that I wanted to go down. And I was kind of left in a position where I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I was kind of open to anything. I was still kind of trying to find my feet in really where I wanted to go, because I'd spent the last 3 years doing a degree in a discipline that I thought was going to suit me, but it got to the time I graduated and actually I decided it wasn't something I wanted to do. So I'd started basically applying for anything and everything in terms of jobs. I applied for sales roles, customer service roles, some kind of education related roles, writing roles, basically anything, just to kind of dip my toe in the water somewhere and see if something suited me. At that point, I got a role in direct sales. And that was basically, I'm sure everyone will know what direct sales is when I give this as an example. You know, when you see people stood in supermarkets or shopping centres with a little kind of event pod and a clipboard, and they're collecting data from customers about gas and electric and charities and things like that. That's what the company did. And I kind of wanted a bit of quick money at the time. I just graduated, as you know, at that point you're always skint. So I took that job on. And obviously the things I kind of learned at university hadn't left me even at that point. So, you know, doing anything kind of learning wise, you know, you have to be very organized, you have to hit deadlines, you've got targets to reach. That sort of mentality doesn't leave you, which I think is really, really important. So if you do any sort of learning, apprenticeship, that sort of thing, that stuff stays with you throughout your career, and it still does to date. So already that I felt was useful to me in my role in direct sales. But having a sales role at that point teaches you how to be positive in the face of adversity. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you to sort of keep going and hit your target sort of thing. So I did that for about 5-6 months. And because it was a startup company at the time, they approached me and said, listen, we need to grow the Manchester kind of section of the business. Do you fancy trying your hand at recruitment? And because I still didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself, I kind of said, oh yeah, I'll have a go at it. And I really enjoyed that. I love working with people. I love meeting new people. I love taking people kind of on that journey. So it was right up my street. And obviously, like I said, being at university, being organized, knowing how to sort of handle a conversation, all that sort of thing, that really served me well in that role. So I did recruitment for maybe about 6 months. So that was another 6 months on. And then being a startup, there's gaps in the market for everything. So at that point, because I've been trying to introduce a lot of new things, as a result of kind of the business being quite new, I was interested in kind of, right, well, we've got these jobs, we're trying to get people into them. We need to market them somehow. We need to post them on social media. We need to put them on different job boards. We need to have a website, all this. So it's all marketing related ideas. So the head of the company said to me, right, well, we've got no one in marketing. Why don't you patch the recruitment and go on to marketing? I said, I don't know about marketing. He said, well, you've obviously got a good idea because you're making these ideas. So just go with it. So at that point, I was kind of panicking because I was like, I'm doing a job I don't know anything about. But it served me really well. So I spent 5 years at that company. I started out as a marketing executive of some description. And after a few years of doing it, I was promoted to the head of marketing and moved to Glasgow with the company where their head office was. So in those few years, it was basically a case of I had no one to look up to within the company to tell me what to do. I had to kind of wing it, for the best way to say it. I had to wing it. I had to self teach everything. And obviously at that time, that was kind of like 2013, 14. There were a lot of marketing disciplines that were still quite new in the industry, like social media advertising. I don't think Meta didn't exist then. So social media advertising was still very, very new. Twitter was still Twitter and not X. Instagram's interface was very, very different back then. Job boards and the way in which you could advertise on job boards was very different. The way in which websites were built was very different. So I had to kind of learn in a number of different ways. One of them was obviously self-teaching. So I was watching videos. I was looking at kind of case studies, things people had done. I was doing a lot of trying different things. I didn't know how to use Photoshop when I started, so I was creating graphics for social in Microsoft Word, like with all these different things. And like it took hours and hours to do. And like now, like I wish I'd had a tool like Canva like 12 years ago, because it would have made life so much easier. but it was a lot of trial and error, a lot of trying something didn't work. Right, let's try this and let's try this. And how could this be better? How could this? It's always kind of looking to the next thing. So that's what I basically spent the first couple of years of my career doing, is just kind of figuring things out as I went along and seeing what stuck. And that's when it got to the point where, right, well, this is working for this office and it's doing really, really well. Let's roll it out across the company. So come up to Glasgow and you know, head that department up, and we'll get a team around you and stuff. So that was kind of like, all right, okay. So at that point, I moved to Glasgow and became head of that department. So it's kind of in-house marketing, which is obviously very different from agency. And that department kind of grew. So I ended up having people in a team and showing them how to do things, and obviously continuing to learn along the way, because when I'm starting up, you know, like I said, there was no such thing as meta. Advertising was very, very different. But at this point now, things have started to move along. So I'm constantly having to learn and improve and find out what's happening in the industry and why, to order to move forward and basically keep ahead and keep up with what's going on. So aside of this, because I didn't know anything about marketing and I was having to self-teach, there were two main things I did when I got to Glasgow. I started networking fiercely. I felt that although, yeah, I can watch videos and self-teach and find out a lot more about the kind of industry and what's going on, it would be really nice to be able to have people to speak to about that. So I attended when I was there at the time, there was a meetup group called the Digital Media Meetup. So I went to that on a weekly basis, and they had guest speakers, and it was all different people from the industry, executives, heads of, managers within the industry, everyone kind of doing the same thing. So it's really nice to meet people and just kind of spin off ideas and just talk about things you've done. Like, you know, even, I've had a really, really hard week. Why? Because I've been trying to advertise for this role and I can't get anyone in. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? What about this? And it's that kind of thing that goes, oh my God, it's so nice talking to someone who knows what I'm talking about. So I did a lot of networking, started to build up my LinkedIn profile. So people who are perhaps a bit further afield from me, who I couldn't meet on a face-to-face basis, I was kind of like chatting to online. And there's still people to this day who 10 years ago I connected with, and we just started having these conversations about the industry. They're sort of experts in their field now. There was a guy when I didn't know anything about SEO at the time, and I really, really wanted to learn. So I kind of looked for local people who were specialists in SEO at the time. And there was a guy called Craig who lived in Paisley, and he had a couple of guys working with him at the time. And I said, listen, can I pop round and just kind of go through a few things with you? Would you mind talking to me? And he's like, yeah, fine, no problem. So I don't know if you've heard the name before. His name's Craig Campbell, and he's a huge name in the SEO industry, especially in the UK. And he goes to like Vegas and does talks on SEO and everything now. So I look at him, kind of look at his posts and what he's doing with his life now, and I think, God, I went and sat in your office in Paisley in the little, you know, dinky corner, and we were just talking about things back in the day. But it's really good to build those relationships. It really, really helps you in your career. And obviously, if you keep in touch with those people, it opens doors and leads you on to things as well. So the networking was really, really valuable to me. The other thing I did, I wanted to learn more about SEO. I wanted to learn more about web and developing websites. I wanted to learn more about link building, all these things. So I thought, right, I'm going to do my own little passion project on the side. At the time, I was single and dating, so I decided to write about dating. So I made a blog, and so I built the website for that. I failed at numerous hurdles trying to develop and build this website and create the theme and stuff. So that I did all that, and then I was doing my writing. So I was practicing my content writing skills from an SEO perspective, and then I was putting analytics tracking on the website to see how many readers I was getting, how many conversions I was getting in terms of inquiries through the website about what I was doing, and that kind of grew arms and legs, because then I had to then promote my work on social media. So I had to learn how to advertise it properly online. And that became really big for me as a kind of a side project as well. So that led me into other things. So during that point in my career, I started writing for, glossy magazines on the side. So that was like Cosmopolitan. Then I had my own magazine column in a kind of Reader's Digest. It's a magazine called Love It. And I had a weekly column in there, which was like a real kind of career milestone for me, because I'd always loved writing. But all that came off the back of me just wanting to get better at my day job. And that was a real big thing for me. So I think another big thing, if you have the time to dedicate to your own sort of self-development, setting up a passion project. So something like if I'd done the website about, I don't know, bricklaying or something, no interest in it whatsoever, don't really care what's involved in it. So to motivate me to do something with that would have been very, very difficult, because I chose a topic that I knew I could write passionately about, that was close to kind of what, my lifestyle at the time. And it was really, really relevant. It was very, very easy for me to kind of create content for it, and find ideas and want to promote it and get out there. And learning all those things has really kind of helped. Even the things that I'm doing in day-to-day life now, kind of digital PR wise, are things that I learned when I was promoting my own blog back in the day. So those two things, when I moved up, they were instrumental to my career, sort of to date. So from there, I then moved. I'm from Wigan originally, so I moved back to Wigan in 2018. For family reasons, I moved back, and they didn't have the company I worked for didn't have an opportunity here for me, so I had to get a new job basically. So I spent 5 years working in house. Obviously, I had my personal experience of writing and website developing, so I didn't really know whether I wanted to work in house or whether I wanted to work in agency. So I opted for agency just out of sheer curiosity, because a lot of agencies look really exciting to work for. I liked the thought of having variety in my day rather than kind of working on the same thing. In the direct sales industry, I was very focused on recruitment. But I thought if I could work on different clients but doing the same kind of things, I thought that'd be really interesting. So that's when I came back down here and worked for an agency. I was a digital marketing executive, and then I came to this company, which was under a different name 6 years ago, as an SEO executive, because I wanted to specialize. I moved out of digital marketing, and I thought, right, well, I'm a bit good at this, I'm a bit good at this, I'm a bit good at this, but actually I can't say to anyone I am amazing at this. And I don't think it's because I'd ever kind of chosen to focus on something. So I didn't really know which area of digital marketing at the time I wanted to focus on. I just needed an opportunity to focus on one of them. So this one arose to focus on SEO. And even to date, by far, best digital marketing method ever. Love it. And there's no bias in that. It's the results it can produce are amazing. And it's such a science. It's so interesting. I could talk all day and all year about SEO. I think it's amazing. So that was my opportunity to get in there. And then I guess over the last 6 years has brought me to where kind of I am today. I was an SEO executive, and I got promoted after a couple of years to SEO manager. And then because I was managing a team, my role organically became a bit more operation focused. And then I was just, as I was going along, not being told to necessarily, but finding opportunities and ways in which to improve processes and kind of look at the value in the people around us and see where they could, add more. And that's where I've come now. So when the two previous owners decided it was time to retire and hand over the business, it went to myself and the managing director here. So since last year, the two of us have been running the business, and here we are.
It's such a brilliant story, and I love how it's always, I think it's very relatable, when you've said you weren't really sure which direction you wanted to go in it sometimes, and you've kind of used your passion project as a way to enhance your own skills, and that's something that you've done because you genuinely really enjoy it, and that's all about that's absolutely what we encourage people to do. So I think we should open up the floor for some questions. I'm sure there'll be quite a few questions for you there. So if anyone has got any questions, feel free to pop your hand up.
I think we've got a question. What's the name of your blog?
We've
got a question. What's the name of your blog?
Yeah, it was called, it's still live. It's the naominarrative.com. I don't promote it anymore. I think I kind of stopped working on it in, I think about 2020. I think because I had so much going on, I just didn't have the time to commit to it anymore. But it was really good at the time that I had it going. I think it was about 4 or 5 years I had it for. And I had all the social channels to go with it as well. But obviously, I don't promote on social anymore. But that's the blog I used to manage. It was really good though. It gave me a lot of confidence in my role to date, just by by doing things on the side. And a lot of people in our agency just now, they all have freelance projects on the side, or most of them do at least. So it's nice that they've kind of got other things going on outside of their working day, but also it bleeds into their career as well, because if they're kind of finding out, oh, well, actually, I tried this last night on something I was working on, it actually works really well, so let's do it on the client here. So it's really good, I think, if you can have a passion project of some description to keep it going, especially if you're working in the industry in digital marketing, because it does kind of teach you a lot about what you're doing day to day. Even if it's not kind of relevant to the industry, there will be things that there'll be definite crossover in it, you know.
Dawn, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I love the fact that with your own story and other people's stories within this industry, no one seems to have decided to become a marketeer from birth, basically. They've all kind of meandered into it from certain avenues. With that in mind, someone like myself, who's a wee bit older, come from a totally different industry, and starts pursuing these types of courses, maybe as a passion project. Do you think as an industry you're more open to looking at people like me who on the face of it don't look like the perfect candidate, but because it's a constantly changing, evolving industry as regards the learning process, do you find that you're more open to people like me basically approaching you?
Well, what do you mean, like people like you?
Older, like 50 plus.
I wouldn't have thought that would come into the equation at any point. I think marketing is one of those things. I think there's in my opinion, skills can be taught. It's the other things that are involved in marketing, I think, that are really important. So, you know, if you're naturally or inherently creative, I think that puts you in good stead. If you're a person who's got kind of ideas and is innovative, and when they're looking at things, they don't just see this, they see this. I think that makes
the box.
Here. Experience is valuable, but also sometimes with experience comes poor habits. So if you've been in an agency or in a role previously where you've been told you do this way, you do A, B, and C, when actually the best way to do it is X, Y, and Z. So you've got to then overcome those learned habits to do things the right way. If you're coming into the industry at whatever age, with a completely fresh approach and kind of like eager to kind of learn and as you go, I can't see there being any obstacles to getting into the industry, because it is, like you said, it is changing all the time. What I was doing for this exact same company 5 years ago is completely different to what we do today. And it's not necessarily out of choice. It is just because that's the way the industry's evolved. We have, just to give you an example, our content writer here, he streams out 15, 20 pages of content a day. He's got loads of ideas for everything. He's 64.
Right. Okay.
And but so I think our youngest employee is 20. Steve's 60. But we've got a real kind of mix of ages and backgrounds and stuff. But it's everyone's kind of got the same mentality, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. It's like when we're looking at a website, it's not, you know, well, it needs 10 pages. It's like, right, well, you do this. If you're a dog walker, shall we have like a little wagging tail as the clicking icon, and this will get more people here, and why don't we do this, and why don't we do that, and that's what makes a really good that's what makes a really good marketer, is kind of having those ideas. It's the ideas that will always drive things forward. It's like if they're doing an SEO campaign, right, well, that's not working. Have we thought about PPC? Could we put a budget to that? Have we thought about social? Could we be advertising in this way? What about retargeting? What about remarketing? It's just being able to look at everything from a different angle and have those ideas. So I think as long as I think a good attitude and a good mentality, and I think that's all it is, and good ideas.
Brilliant. Thanks.
Yeah.
David, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, hi Naomi, hope everything's well. Yeah, just a quick question is that I've tried to get into agency work in digital marketing, and I've had a few interviews with different agencies and leads, and a lot of the feedback I get is experience. I don't have the experience. There's other people with experience and all that kind of stuff. So my question is, do you have any tips on how to get into an agency, but also how am I meant to get experience, I guess?
I would think it's hard for me to speak on behalf of other agencies, At our agency, experience doesn't necessarily mean you've had a job in an agency. It's exposure to the practices that you'll be putting in place. So what kind of roles have you been applying for, out of curiosity?
Yeah, no, of course. So entry level roles. I mean, paid social is mainly something that I enjoy, or content marketing. So like those type of roles. Yeah, but I mean, I just haven't had any luck yet.
Yeah, so for something like content marketing or for social, like there are, personally, I feel there are ways and means that you can prove experience without having had employment. So for paid social, for example, or for organic social, if you use, I've used Canva before, I assume. So things like that, you could create advertorial graphics and say, I think this, you know, in an interview situation, I think this would work because the call to actions are here. I would put this up as a lead campaign because this is my reason why. Like, if you've got the knowledge and you can explain the practice, for me, if I'm employing, that would give me confidence enough, because following that, we would maybe do some sort of trial or taster day, I guess, where you could put some of those things that you discussed into practice and we could have something a bit more tangible. But in terms of experience, I would even, if you have any time, I would contact some local agencies and say, look, I'm looking to get a bit of experience. You could be brutally honest and say, I'm really struggling to get work because people want experience. So I want to actually show them that I've got some sort of experience. Ask them for a day here or there. Say, I'll pick up the slack with some graphic, some content creation, or with some blog writing, or anything that you feel you can put your hands to. If they didn't snap your hand off, I'd be surprised, because agencies are very busy and would always be grateful of that kind of help. But I do think there's ways you can show experience in an interview sort of setting. So if we said content marketing, you could prepare, like I said, you prepare some graphics with explanations as to why you've put that setting in certain ways. You could write some content. You could even put together a little strategy or something. So that can be sent over. So when you do, like, let's say, apply for the job on Reed or Total Jobs or Indeed or whatever, you could supplement that application with a follow-up email to the hiring manager, whoever that might be, or to the MD of the company, or to the ops director or whatever, and like send those things through to them. It's like, yes, my CV might say, you know, I've got no actual employed experience, but I have experience in this. I'll give you an example. We've just hired for an entry level role here. This young man works part-time in a funeral directors, no agency experience, but he's paid for a sort of subscription to Ahrefs, which is an SEO software. He's done several courses, paid courses on Udemy. He can speak confidently about the discipline that he's going into. So those things combined. So if he's paid for a software which isn't cheap, that shows an investment and a commitment into your career. If you're actively spending your free time paying for and watching videos that are you're going to learn from, that are relevant to your career, that's an investment into yourself and your commitment to your career. And also being able to speak about it very confidently shows that you know what you're talking about, and you could probably put it into practice if we did a sort of taster day. So I think there's definitely options for the right role for you to get a foot in the door without having that actual employed experience. But I would do that. I would maybe see if people can give you some maybe unpaid few hours here or there experience, just so you can kind of pop it on your CV, and then do have those tangible examples, because obviously, you know, you've got some experience and know what you're talking about. Show them.
Cheers, thank you.
No worries.
I'm really glad that you said that, Naomi, because we have had a great example of that happen in Basecamp. So someone from Cohort 10 applied for it was an email marketing role. Never had any experience with email marketing, hadn't even like covered that in the course yet. And she'd managed to bag an interview, and we basically sort of in preparation, she created a deck of 5 slides with.
Yeah.
She basically went away and did some research on email marketing and created this document all about it for that specific company. So she based it all on that company, and she got the job, which was amazing, because she'd literally never done any, had zero experience in that area of marketing. So yeah, I definitely vouch for that, you know, going that extra mile, just, you know, doing a bit of research on something and creating a bit of content. And also, even if, you know, you create a piece of content for a role, if you don't get that role, you've still learned something from it, And you
Yeah.
can pop it in your portfolio. You can whack it on your LinkedIn as personal
Yeah.
branding. So yeah, amen to that.
I guess also as well, like, sorry, going back to David's point very, very quickly, you know, if you've got an active LinkedIn profile, put it on there. Like, be really, really, like, people really value humility, especially in our industry, when, with the best will in the world, the marketing industry is full of a lot of smokes and mirrors and, you know, BS most of the time. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that going on. But if you were, you know, humble enough to just go onto LinkedIn and just say, look, I'm trying to get a job, and I'm not having much luck because people are asking me for experience, but I can't get the job to get the experience to get the other job. So is there anyone willing to, you know, give me a couple of hours or have a conversation with me or give me some guidance, whatever? People will help. People are nice. You know, there are people out there who will give that guidance or support or ideas or whatever. And, you know, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn after this call. I'd be more than happy to give anyone any help or advice or anything at all, really, that I can do to help you if you're finding a role. But I would recommend that as well. Put it on LinkedIn and ask people, and put literally right at the bottom, please share this post. People will do it. And the further it goes, the more people it'll reach and the more people that would hopefully reach back out to you. So I would say that as well.
Lovely. Have we got any more questions before we carry on? Oh, there are actually some good ones in the chat. Sarah's just asked, what are your thoughts around video-based CVs?
I think it's real. I think video CVs are good. I think if a company has a active job advert, I would just make sure that whatever you send your video CV goes to the right person, because I know a lot of the time we've had bits and pieces of applications that go through to maybe our generic email address, and they can get lost. And then by the time you've kind of looking at hiring, you're like, oh, wish I'd seen that. So just make sure that it's going to the right person in the company. But I think video CVs are a great idea. Anything that's not a piece of paper with your name, your experience, your skills, that's going to make you stand out. Because if you think about it, you put a job live on a recruitment board, within a few days you might have 100 CVs, and a lot of them might be, you know, not relevant to the role, but people have to sift through those to find the good ones. And it's really hard to stand out sometimes as an individual when you're putting everything about you in black and white on a piece of paper. So any way in which you can stand out from, you know, potential competition for a role, I think is really, really powerful, whether that be through a video, even just like introducing, you know, sometimes just some color or doing your CV in a different format can really like sort of speak volumes. Or even, you know, trying to do something a bit creative. If you're trying to go into a marketing company, you know, something a bit more creative will really work. There was this one, it didn't apply to us, but I know another agency who were local to here. They were hiring for a website developer, and this guy didn't send, I think he put his CV in an envelope, but he also put in his envelope a lollipop, and it had a packet round it, and he said, if your websites suck, you need me. And I just thought it was so clever. You're going for a job at a marketing company. You've done something relatively creative linked to marketing, but everyone was talking about it like this. I mean, it's a different agency, and this agency has mentioned this to me. So it's something that's remembered to them. And obviously he got hired because he had the right skill set as well. It's not just that goes with it, but yeah, anything to stand out. I think a video CV is a great idea. And you obviously get a good feel for the person over video more so than you do from a piece of paper, because like I said, it's hard to sell yourself over a CV. So yeah, I think they're a really good idea. I'm just looking at the other questions here as well. I didn't notice they were in the chat, so apologies everyone. Joys have to start from entry level. Is there a way of transferring your skills, e.g. from you being assistant producer into marketing? Do you think portfolios are good to use? Always portfolios, I think, are really good to use. Doesn't matter which discipline you're in, whether it's web design, web development, marketing, put case studies into it, put visuals in there. I think it's always a good, again, going back to the CV thing, it makes you kind of stand out. It shows what you're capable of. You're putting to the front the things that you're proud of, that you can put your name to. So I think that portfolio is a good idea. You can transfer skills. I don't think you always have to start at entry level, but I guess depending what discipline you want to go into, there's got to be some sort of basic knowledge and experience. That doesn't mean from employment, but just in general about that discipline before you're kind of deemed not sort of entry level or junior. And I guess depending on the workplace, if you're going for junior or entry level roles, you could maybe have that conversation quite openly with an employee. You know, how long would you expect if I was to meet A, B, and C criteria? Would you expect me to be in a junior role? We've had juniors come in here and we've dropped the junior title within a month because although they've said they're junior, they're far better and far more skills than they actually believe to themselves to be. So we've dropped the junior title almost straight away. There are other people who've come in at junior and then they maybe take a bit longer than we anticipate to kind of get their head around things, but once they're in it, they're fine. So I guess it's just ascertaining what that role that you've got, what the company expects, and then if there are ways to move the milestones if necessary. Hope that answers that question. Do we have any upcoming entry-level roles in marketing? Yes, we do. We're regularly looking for juniors for our SEO department. Possibly more so towards the end of the year, I think we'll be looking at digital marketing. So they cover, our digital marketing department will cover PPC, which is pay-per-click, paid social, organic social, email marketing, and our internal marketing as well. So possibly junior in that department towards the end of the year. And then junior SEO executives, we're always looking for people to join that team. So that's that. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and we'll stay in touch, perfectly fine. So please do. I'm more than happy to do that. Do I think being outside of London has been beneficial to my career? Possibly. I don't know if that's something I can maybe comment on. I think there's a lot of opportunities in London, but there's also a lot of competition as well. But I think it's the same everywhere now. I think the beauty of digital marketing these days is that it's every single business needs it. So it's very, very easy to get clients and make recommendations because you know, or I certainly do, looking at something that every single business needs a website these days. They need a good social presence. They need to be marketing online because like those who are, especially shops as well, you know, e-commerce stores are far more important now than they ever were before because shops are closed on the high street because they haven't got an online version of the shop. We have just a very local client who's been with us for 12 years. She's got a ladies' fashion shop in Wigan. Had she not had her website, she would have closed her doors 3 or 4 years ago because of the footfall in our town centre. But she's thriving because her e-commerce store was set up a number of years ago and it works and it was well optimized. So it ranks well for the keywords that, you know. But I don't know whether being outside of London has been beneficial to my career. I've worked in London in my previous job on several occasions doing things. But I think just, I guess, having I think what's been more so beneficial to my career is being just very open-minded at every step of the way. It's like, oh, I'll try this. Not sure if I'll be good at it. Not sure if I'll like it, but I'll give it a go. And having kind of the right attitude to it. I think attitude, mentality, and work ethic. I think if those things remain consistent, I think you will always benefit yourself somehow in your career. Those things all play into mindset. I think, like I said, skills, in my opinion, skills can be taught and be learned. That's fine, but so no one can teach you how to have a good and a positive attitude towards your work. No one can teach you how to work hard, and no one can teach you how to have the right mentality when it comes to things. And I mean, like if you've got a problem, rather than going, oh, not doing that, can't be doing, it's more of a, right, okay, this website's gone down. What shall I do? This, and kind of having that mentality. I think those 3 elements, I think, are the most beneficial thing to your career. I don't think these days, you know, location, especially marketing, should be too much of an issue for people. I'm not saying it isn't, but so many roles in marketing are remote now, if not hybrid, especially since 2020. So it shouldn't be too much of a barrier. I think it's the other things that are far more important, in my opinion. What else? Do I advertise part-time roles? Do I entertain the idea? What do you think the best way is to bring this up with an employer? I don't know if that question means we would advertise part-time roles if we needed them. We've got 2 members of staff working part-time here at the moment. If you were looking to go part-time in an existing role, I don't feel that should be a difficult conversation to have with your employer. In my opinion, it's very important for employers to be very, very aware that it's not a team of robots that they've got in their agency. Everyone's human, and everyone's got different commitments outside of work. As someone with 2 young children, I have commitments outside of work. Sometimes kids are sick, and sometimes, you know, you can't always, you know, give 100%, but having those honest, transparent conversations, I think, are really, really important. So if it's a part-time role you're looking for, if you apply for it, you know, if you want to know more about part-time roles or positions available, if you see people hiring, maybe you could speak to the hiring manager and say, look, is there a possibility of doing this role being split and it being part-time, or would you consider part-time for other roles? And just open up that line of communication with them. I can't see why companies wouldn't be open to that. So. Yeah, sorry, I've just seen your follow up to your comment. Yeah, if it's full time, I would possibly open up that line of communication and say, would there be a possibility of this being part time? Because I know it's something I would consider, and I'm sure it would be other people as well. Maybe not all of the time, but if they've got a role to fill, I think they would rather have a part-time person who's committed to that role than a full-time person who's not, if that makes sense. So yeah, I would ask that question, absolutely. Do agencies offer hybrid remote roles? Most agencies you'll find offer hybrid or remote these days. If you go through, even if you're not looking for something right now, but if you went through a job board and typed in kind of digital marketing or SEO or PPC, you'll find that 99% of the roles are hybrid or remote. I'd be very surprised if they weren't. I think it's just the way of our industry now as well, because like, look what we're doing right now, like that this is how the industry works now. There's a lot of video calls, a lot of our meetings with our clients that are done remotely now, even though they're 2 minutes down the road, it's all remote. So I think there are a lot of opportunities available remote as well. Oh, there's lots of questions popping up. Hold on. Last question there. I come from a digital design background and already have a portfolio that includes projects related to UX, UI design and web design. As I transition to digital marketing, do you think I should create a new portfolio with projects more focused on branding, SEO and analytical aspects? I would keep both. I think it's important to I would think it's important to a hiring manager to see that although you've got experience and skills within digital marketing, you also have the capabilities of UX, UI, web design. I think that could be really useful to an agency. So I would perhaps create 2 portfolios and maybe have one as your main one when you're applying for jobs, but always have that other one as well. Something you can share during an interview, or you can perhaps highlight that in a conversation.
Nick's got his hand up if you'd like to ask the question, Nick.
Sure.
Sure thing. Lovely to meet you, Naomi. My background is in PR. I've noticed over the years that it's becoming sort of a blur line between PR and particularly digital marketing, where it's becoming far more important to do the SEO side of things, particularly backlinks, domain authority, and lead generation and all that side of things. So it's been particularly exacerbated by the pandemic and everyone going hybrid or fully remotely. So there's been a big shift in that in the PR industry towards more sort of the marketing side of things. Over the years, with your sort of experiences and just sort of saying very different from when you sort of started, so over 10 years ago, what have you noticed has been sort of the biggest shift in the marketing industry, and something to be able to sort of keep an eye on and ensure that we sort of learn as much about as possible?
Oh gosh, numerous things. I guess right, hold on. So we've got Google Analytics in terms of website tracking. As of July last year, that transferred to a system called GA4. Previous to that, it was called Universal Analytics. Tracking website activity was very, very clear and user-friendly. They transferred to the system so that data there were more comprehensive ways in which to interpret data. But it's so much more convoluted now. So in terms of interpreting and using that data to your advantage as a marketer, I think has become more difficult because of the introduction of that. Not only that, but this year Google has also introduced the V2 consent model, which means that basically website as of the 6th of March this year, which I think was the deadline, if I remember rightly off the top of my head, with regards to cookies on a website, if their cookies need to be configured in a way in which you've got to accept all of them. If you don't, that website is not allowed to track your activity on that website. So if we're looking at a website objectively as a marketer, and we see that, let's say it's got 10,000 users per month, which converts into X amount of sales, without that consent that people are given, when only apparently 31% of people accept those cookie banners on a website, so that there's potential to lose 60% of your website tracking data as a result of this introduction of this V2 consent model. So that's a big thing in the industry to be aware of as well, is that, yeah, we can do these really cool marketing things to get things working, but how are we going to analyze performance in order to move forward with that campaign if the data we've got isn't really representative of what's actually happening on that site? So those have been some really worrying considerations for this year. Not only that as well, I think one of the biggest shifts right now that's happening is the concept of social search. So obviously SEO has always been a growing discipline. Now SEO is far harder than it was, let's say, 10 years ago, because there's so much more competition and so many people doing it. But social search is a really up and coming digital marketing tactic, which I think is going to come against SEO very, very soon. So that's where people are, rather than going to Google and search engines to search for something, let's say 10 best holidays in Europe, they will go to TikTok or to YouTube for that search. And that's happening more and more often. And the conversion rate is far higher for those social search terms. So obviously it depends on the industry, depends what's going on, but those statistics are climbing quite rapidly in terms of social search. So that's something to be aware of as well. In PR, like you said, you know, with the closing down of print publications and everything moving online, digital PR is now looking at, it's not just link building anymore. Digital PR is something that a lot of people who are performing SEO campaigns to the clients, they also want a digital PR campaign on the side of that to supplement their SEO campaign as well. So there's a lot of change going on. I think the social search one, I think is something that's moving forward. I think is something that people need to have their eyes open to. And if they're not already looking into social search, is definitely something that needs to be looked into now to be ahead of the game. Tracking data, I think, is a big thing for marketers as well moving forward. And I guess e-commerce as well, and the ability to buy and shop online, and how customers are interacting with that online, it has become much bigger, especially in the last maybe, I guess, 5-6 years. You know, with the options to retarget, remarket via email, retarget via social, and assessing shopper behavior. Obviously, there's many more people shopping online now as well, across all sorts of different disciplines as well. So a lot more people are who hadn't previously delved into e-commerce and now doing that. So even people selling print products like guides and things like that, rather than them putting it on there, they're actually selling them on the websites now to make some money, you know. So I think, yeah, e-commerce, data tracking, social search, those are, I think, the main things for me at the moment where the big changes are. Does that answer your question? I don't know if I went off a tangent.
It does. It does. Thank you very much for that. The social search sounds very interesting. Interesting to see how you can track that, and also the cookies. So we were talking about it this morning. But yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Anyone else? Are there any more questions?
Yeah, we've got a couple of hands up still. So, Haniel, you got your hand up?
Yeah, hi, Neil. It was really interesting to hear your journey and how you ended up where you got to, and specializing in SEO. We've done some of that, and I found that really interesting. I've become a SEMrush believer.
Yeah.
But is there any other things, like, is there any go-tos that you would go to, like having specialized in SEO?
Tools wise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right, okay. Get your pen and your notebook. So SEMrush is a great one. SEMrush is a really, really good all-round tool. So you can do like keyword research, your content analysis, toxic backlinks, whatever, like everything's in SEMrush. Really, really valuable tool, and pretty much used in every agency. So I would say use that. The only, I think, caveat with SEMrush is that it's quite expensive. And if you've got multiple users on the account, it's a pain because it kicks you out every now and again, but really, really valuable tool. Secondary to that, Ahrefs. That's really good for assessing domain health in general. So you would particularly use this tool. You can use it when you're doing keyword research, but more so when you're doing link building to analyze link quality. So it gives you put a link into Ahrefs, and it gives you the domain rating, the page authority, the traffic, and which location that traffic's coming from, the traffic's value, the domain over a period of 1, 2, or 5 years, and what's kind of happened. So you can kind of see the quality of the domain over a period of time. You can see how many referring domains it's got and which ones they are. So if you're doing competitor analysis and you want to build the same backlinks as your competitor, it will show you your competitor's backlinks and the quality of those and which ones to go for. So it's really, really good. So Ahrefs, definitely. Obviously, you've got your standard ones. You've got Google Analytics GA4, Google Search Console, great data, Google Tag Manager. Those 3 things all go in sort of in together. Winch has become a new one. Winch is good for rankings, just tracking rankings and seeing where things are, and the data can be quite accurate on that. I'm trying to think. GT Metrics is good for page speed and assessing page speed and recommendations on how to make sites load faster. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what else I would use on a daily basis. There's some really, really. Have you used FatJoe before? Okay, there's some brilliant SEO tools on FatJoe. There's like content planners, keyword research, keyword cluster planners, SEO value checkers. If you go to fatjoe.com, I think it's /tools. They're all free tools on there. I think you just have to create an account. They're really, really, really good. I would definitely have a play around with those. They can even from an AI point of view as well, like they write blog titles for you. There's all sorts really, really useful tools on there. Ahrefs and SEMrush, I think, would be the main ones that we use in terms of auditing software. The Screaming Frog and Siteable, which are really, really good. I tend to use those on a regular basis. Just when you're kind of like initially auditing a website, you can kind of see if there's any duplicate content on there, any duplicate title tags, that sort of thing. In terms of plugins for websites, if you're using WordPress as a CMS, Rank Math's a really good one as an alternative to Yoast. And then obviously using kind of prompts for ChatGPT for helping with kind of content writing and building out FAQs, and not necessarily using the content that ChatGPT generates, because obviously there was, I don't know if you're aware, but there was a big update in March on Google to the algorithm that basically any websites using complete AI are getting seriously penalized. So staying away from AI content, but using it to help you write it. So yeah, SEMrush and Ahrefs, I think, are your main go-tos. And then obviously the Google tools alongside that as well, I'd say would be your SEO pack for what you really, really need.
Thank you. Sorry, what was it? Was FatJoe?
FatJoe, fatjoe.com. And then hold on, I'll just get the URL up, and then it's the tools on there as well.
Thank you.
They've got loads of different SEO tools on there. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Yeah. They're really, really good. Just pop that in the chat. I always found the DA of a website. Yeah, DAs of websites. If you're going to be tracking DA and DR and looking at those things, I would choose one platform and go with it. I would think Ahrefs is the sort of most accurate one. But whatever you choose to use, I would stick and use that one platform, because like if you're tracking rankings in SEMrush or in Winch or in AccuRanker or whatever you're using, the chances are there will be slight variations in the positions from platform to platform, just as there is with domain ratings. So whatever platform you're going to use to track rankings or to track data or to look at domain health, I would use that one platform and stick with it.
Okay, we've got another hand up, Timus.
Hi.
Hi, okay.
Question. So drawing from your own experience, the majority of your customers are proactive or reactive? So they are looking to improve their performance because they notice that is not good enough, or they think proactively?
I guess maybe all of them are a bit of a kind of combination. Like some people, customers who come to us kind of are brand new to marketing, as into having an online presence. They won't even have a website. And they come to us and basically say, I want to get more inquiries on, I want to make more sales through my website. And then that's when we kind of put a plan in place. So we would design and develop a website with, the correct call to actions in place to align that with their SEO campaign or PPC campaign, whatever they're doing. But I would say most of them, I would say, are proactive. But I don't mean that in a way to compliment them in as if like, oh, we're doing this ahead of time. It's more so it's kind of like more of people come to us and say, I want my phone to ring more. Not as many come to us say, my phone's not ringing enough. So they normally have enough to keep them ticking over, but they want more. So I would say more of them are proactive, if you know what I mean. And obviously then we get the data from the campaigns to basically make that tangible for them. I think one of the difficulties we have in selling SEO as a service is that it's not very tangible. A website's quite easy because it's there. You can see it in front of you. A lot of the things you do in SEO, you're not kind of, even though you're sending them a regular report or you're speaking with them about it on a regular basis, you don't really see SEO. You just know it's happening on the website, whatever it might be. So it's kind of difficult to get that approach across. But if we're working off a tangible metric like emails, phone calls, contact forms, product sales, that sort of thing, it's very easy for us to say this campaign's working because in April last year, you made, 20 sales of this product. This year, you've made 2,000. And we can clearly see that's in line with your rankings improving. And, so I'd say, yeah, most of our customers are proactive.
Do you have freelancers approaching you or micro?
As in to work alongside us?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've worked with freelancers in the past on various things. And
not work alongside as customers, as your clients.
No, I don't know. I don't recall having any freelancers as clients. We've worked, like I said, we've worked with them and we worked with some partner agencies on various things. No, I don't think we've ever done work for a freelancer, no.
Thank you.
That's all right.
We've got a couple minutes left if anyone has any last questions. I thought we're all questioned out.
I think
that
so,
was brilliant. Now, thank you, Naomi. That was really, really in depth, really interesting.
That's all right.
We'll share your, I already have anyway, but we'll share your LinkedIn and your blog into our channel so that if anyone would like to go and head over and take a look, and the website as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
Like I said, if anyone wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, and like if anyone like kind of thinks of any questions afterwards, they're more than welcome to ask me. And my email address, I'll put into the chat. It's naomi@wearejustdigital.co.uk. So if you want to email me any questions or follow up with anything, I'm more than happy to help. I wish I'd had people in the industry when I was, kind of starting in the industry and had people to guide me. And I went out and found them. So I'm more than happy to any advice or just anything. I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Well, we've got loads of nice comments in the chat coming through. With some come say it's great to hear from someone who values hard graft. Someone saying thank you, that was really useful. Thank you so much for your time. Really interesting. So engaging and insightful. Really helpful. So yeah, lots of lovely comments for you there. Very inspiring.
Oh, you're welcome. And I'm happy to have been able to give some advice, if any. But anything anyone needs or wants to know, please drop me a message.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Naomi and Joanna. I think we will let you guys go now.
No problem.
Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Joe, when do you want to go for a break? Should we do 1:15?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so guys, we're just going to take a break now till 1:15, and then again, if you can go back into your groups like before. So Rachel and Joe's group, if you guys go on to the link that you were on before, and then my guys can stay on here. So yeah, I'll see you back at 1:15.
All right. Thanks, Nair.
Take care.